Anyway.
What's up, YouTube? Phoenix here, and I have some rando I pulled off the street. Chief is what he told me his name is. What do you do again?
I'm actually the doppelganger to Todd Howard. So
Really?
if you've ever played Borderlands, like the pre-sequel, you know, what's his name? Thomas?
Tank engine, yes.
No, not the tank engine.
Oh, sorry.
No,
maybe it's Skyrim I'm thinking of. My bad.
Anyway. Like I said, I'm the doppelganger to Todd Howard, kind of like in Borderlands pre-sequel.
Yeah, you even got the jacket too.
Yeah, handed down by the Todd Howard.
Wow.
Actually.
Wow. Where do you think he gets his leather from?
Human resources.
Yes. Human resources.
He has a human
Who's
farm.
laughing now?
Dude, it's everyone in his high school that he ever had beef with. He has them on a farm.
Beef with. I see what you did there.
Literally, he turns them into beef. I would know.
He knows it's at stake.
Okay. Yeah. But no. What I actually do though is I do enjoy airsoft. I live like other humans, I think. I work at a tarp factory and then I chill at home.
Yes, and thank you for letting us borrow one of your tarps for our green screen. Thank you so much for that.
This is today's sponsor, Lookout Mountain Tarps.
Spared no expense.
Not really. But anyway, Preston or Phoenix.
Yes.
Would you like to segue us into our topic tonight?
I would. I don't have a segue. I mean, I can't afford a car like that. But if you're referring to the other meaning of segue, yes, I can do that.
Modern gaming.
Modern gaming. So I thought that it would be a good opportunity for both of us to talk about our particular perspectives on modern gaming, what that really means, what that is, and where things come from back in his day and then back in my day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
as we are, is it 12 or 13 years apart?
we're 12 years. Well,
were you 12 or 13? I always thought it was 13 when I was born. But the one way to figure it out.
19 years apparently.
19 years apart. I had to go to a D20 to figure that out.
Hey, you know, sometimes you just gotta roll for it, you know?
Yeah.
Let the good dice roll.
Actually,
copyright.
Speaking, I have this like it's not a D20, but like what is it? I think it's like a D10.
D10? Okay.
Is it D10 or D10?
Is that 10 sides?
I think it does. Well, that's what I'm trying to remember. Is like how many sides it has. But on it, it like has like different. I got it for graduation. It has like different sayings on it, and
Yeah.
okay,
Or is
no.
it a D12?
It looks
Is
more.
it pentagon for sides?
It might be a D12 then.
Yeah.
Because it did have a top and bottom flat side, and then multiple sides around each of the different angles.
Is it that black with gold lettering?
Yes.
It's either a D12 or it's some other shape.
Yeah. But basically,
A dodecahedron, you might say.
I would not say it because I didn't even know that word existed until now. But no, I think I have heard it before. Anyway, to get back into modern gaming and what destroyed our childhoods, you could say. Let's start with your story. How it began for you.
So back when I was a wee Phoenix, when I resurrected the first time, my first memory of gaming was the original Nintendo Entertainment System and the Sega Genesis. And I played a little bit on the NES. I know Mom actually played a few games, including Castlevania, which is incredible. She was way better at it than I was. But then Sonic did her in. The running off screen thing was.
Yep.
I always thought that was entertaining. But the thing about, because I grew up in the 90s, and the thing about games of that era is that there were cartridges, and there was no internet. Well, at least not in the not widespread. It wasn't widespread. We didn't have internet until 1998, 97, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
sorry to interrupt, but we didn't get Wi-Fi until 2014. the end of 2014.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Just talk about our internet.
We're just some hillbillies from Alabama. So, when games were pushed from the product line, well, that was it. You know, so when developers were making these games, they would have to make them in such a way that there's no like return. You don't want your customers returning anything, because cartridges is the only kind of monetization that you really had at the time. And while things later on, such as Ocarina of Time, those games did have other like releases. Like it was still the same game, but it was different versions that were released because they patched out some of the original music from version 1.
That's right. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
You know, like, so like the Fire Temple had different chanting.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but like I remember because we got a different cartridge later, and I remember like going into the Fire Temple and not hearing that chanting anymore, and I was like, what? No, I could swear. I thought I was, you know, because obviously I had no clue or concept at my young age of like 6 or 8 of like different versions of Zelda Ocarina of Time being there. So I was like, am I making this up? Did the chanting music never exist? Like I could remember the lyrics, you could say. Not like I couldn't copy them verbatim, but I remember how they sounded and everything. And then it was gone.
Yeah.
And then anyway, go ahead.
Right. So you know, there were other versions that would be released of a product, but generally, like what you released that was it. So you know, your companies had to kind of put everything on the line in order to make that product really sell, have replayability, and hopefully make a sequel. You know, so you know but that mindset began to change over time as the internet became more prevalent. So it was around because I was thinking about this earlier today, it was around the 2010, 2012, when there was the last of the lot of content bang for your buck, but still having, but still at the same price point before like microtransactions and things kind of came to kind of settle in.
Yeah. I remember, at least for me growing up, kind of like when you were mentioning no internet earlier, that was basically like how I played all the stuff that came out. In fact, and also what I noticed is games back then were designed to kind of be offline. There was more offline options.
Exactly.
If you look in today's stuff, split screen on a lot of stuff now is like barely there.
Yes.
And like I remember like some of the Call of Duties in the mid 2010s, it got to the point where you couldn't put 4 people on the same Xbox. Like you could have 2 at most play a local multiplayer. If I remember correctly, I think that's how it was. And I was like, you could turn on bots though, so you had things to fight. I think it was Advanced Warfare, but like you could put in, you know, robots or, you know, the computer to fight against AI. Yes.
Yeah.
But it was like multiplayer. The idea of playing offline basically started going away. While growing up, I mean, you were talking. Now, I think during your time growing up at home. Well, no, you had a decent amount of neighborhood kids, but not a lot of them liked to play games with you.
No, I had a go-kart, and that was what made me popular.
It was the go-kart, yeah. Always wanted that go-kart so bad, and I never had the chance at it. But anyway, to get back on track, during my time growing up, we still had a lot of kids in the neighborhood, you know, around my age that we went to school with, and through Xbox, we would hook up all of our controllers. I made sure to get more controllers for the Xbox as time went on because all of us wanted to play.
Yeah.
And you're talking, we had this, I still have the TV, I still use it to this day. It's a SpongeBob TV that's like only this size. You know, AV hookup, you know, the red, yellow and white, you know, ports.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, I'll still play Smash Bros. With the GameCube, Smash Bros. Melee on it. I'll still play Ocarina of Time. Finished Majora's Mask last year. The first time I ever played the game and beat it.
Nice.
And thank you. I almost spoiled it for me when I was 13 because I found out Majora's Mask existed when I was 13.
Wow.
And I was like, Ocarina has a sequel? But anyway, to get back to the point I was talking about is co-op and offline play had a lot more support then. The Call of Duty games, Halo obviously was all about it. You had your LAN parties where you could hook up System Link. We would do stuff like that over. In fact, our scout troop, we would have a game night like once a year, all get together, and there would be up on the first floor one console and an Ethernet cable going through the floor to the basement for the other, and then it'd be 4 on 4, like big stuff like that, you know. But they were more designed that way, and the games were complete upon launch.
Yes.
Yes, DLCs and stuff came later, but the complete experience, everything you needed was there. The rest was actually, when they referred to DLC as add-ons, they were actually add-ons, not complete the game.
Well, even before that term, I mean, we called them expansion packs.
Right,
When we used the word downloadable content, that became something that came later, which could refer to, you know, a major, literal, like you said, add-on to the core game, or it could just be, you know, as our good friend Pete Hines likes to say, mini DLCs. Which I guess that's even dated now, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and so now I think we were also wanting to talk, well, on the topic of modern gaming, how everything, you know, started to switch over. So not only did like offline play and stuff started being less catered to, but also just like the quality and inspiration kind of died as well.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that started maybe from a genuine place, because I was talking with the chief about this last night, because timelines are confusing, and apparently I picked him up today, but then I talked to him last night, so I don't know, you know, magic. Anyway, at some point in time. The thing that I kind of realized, so the $60 price point has not really moved since the 90s, as far as I am aware. That's always been the same for AAA gaming. But since, you know, inflation is a thing and the dollar loses value, that $60 price point hasn't moved. So I'm thinking, from a corporate perspective, they're noticing that, okay, our products are the top of the line, not anything made by an indie company, but top of the line product that is a AAA quality is still only $60, and it's 2010. How do we get around this? Sorry, let's go with 2006. Let's get in the mind of Todd Howard, right? So he's like, horse armor. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who's laughing now? Right?
Yes,
so
that was part
I don't like saying this, but Todd Howard is the visionary behind microtransactions. Bethesda, whoever came up with the idea.
He was born to bring microtransactions.
He was leading the way.
He was bred for this.
Anyway, I think it started off as, okay, how can we, because we can't move the price point, because it's just so fixed in the gaming industry now that fans are going to get upset. So how do we get around this? Well, maybe we could just charge $1 or $2 for this little cosmetic thing, or this horse armor, or whatever, which was cosmetic anyway. So how do we get around this? Well, let's do this little thing. But then the execs look at it, and that principle of nickel and diming comes into our psyche as consumers. And they see that, it's also Independence Day weekend here in the United States. We hear fireworks. Yay! They see this and they're like, and their profits just go like, oh, okay, let's do this more. And I think that's what led to that, and then the advent, the true popularization of mobile gaming on cell phones. I think it was all kind of a perfect storm.
Oh yeah.
That really made the microtransaction concept, and then the stuff that Electronic Arts did. It made that environment just blossom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I remember even like, because you could say I was in the mid. I mean, I've never been like a big mobile gamer dude, but obviously I was in school at the time when it started really going, and like kids would be playing Angry Birds or Clash of Clans, going to the bathroom just to play Angry Birds or Clash of Clans. But like you quickly notice if you ever installed any of them, you would see to get certain buffs or bonuses, you would have to put in actual cash. On Clash of Clans, it was the I think the green emeralds or whatever they were called, and you could spend $100 to get a bunch of them to like upgrade your base and whatnot. And I always thought, like, this is ridiculous. Why would I spend my money on this? And but the thing is most people don't think that way. Most people are like, well, it's just a couple of dollars for a little bonus, and they'll do it. And then some people get in the mindset of spending those couple of dollars like every month, and then you got your other people that like will actually buy the $100 pack ones that usually are, I would assume, to be your more wealthy folk, or the kid that somehow got a hold
or
of his
disposable income. Hey mom.
Yeah, or not even hey mom. They know how to use their mother's credit card, or without telling her, or dad. You can go and grab it and spend, or they're playing on their parents' phone and their credit card or something linked on it or something like that, and easy buy. And I'm sure stuff like that happens. But anyway, it showed like, and I remember I think YouTubers even were talking a lot about how mobile gaming is so profitable. And so, of course, what's the gaming industry going to do? They're going to adopt those same principles. Lo and behold, you get some of the stuff that came out, I would say, probably post 2016 is where it started getting pretty egregious. Because that's also when loot boxes came out, but...
Yes, it was about around that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think some of it was foreshadowed in earlier games, I think.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, and as great of a game as Reach is, I think that the concept of certain things kind of came out, not that they were paid for, but like some of the cosmetic items and stuff that kind of came with the game. I think that developers saw that level of customization. It's like, okay, you know what? The next game doesn't have to have that. We can just microtransact.
Right,
That's okay.
right.
That's fine. I think that now is the time that we should talk about how we lost our virginity.
Oh gosh.
And not in the way that you think. So,
I hate that you.
I know that it
like
implies.
That. Oh my gosh.
Get your mind out of the gutter. So back in ye olde 2018, a younger little Phoenix still had his hopes that companies like Bethesda and I guess Lucasfilm would try and make products with a genuine effort to make their fans happy, right? And then Fallout 76 happened, and then Phoenix's little virgin eyes they were now awakened. The scales fell from his eyes, and he began to notice all of these things that we were talking about in modern gaming. And it just kind of tore little Phoenix down. I think he died and resurrected a second time when he heard that. It was a tragic story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I believe you have a similar story, Chief. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes. So, and to go into the name of Chief, it's all like, I mean, if you ever get to know me, I'm a huge Halo guy. I should say classic Halo. I grew up on it. I mean, for Pete's sakes, which I won't lie, I was a very imaginative kid, because I mean, you're talking, if I wanted to play Halo outside, it wasn't just grab a stick and pretend to have a gun. I got, of course, the Nerf guns, which I've always loved guns, and the Nerf guns to accommodate, and one that looks like, okay, this one looks like an SMG from Halo, so this will work. And then I grabbed my brother's football helmet and football pads, because that's the armor, obviously, you know. And then I put a life jacket on because the pads don't come down far enough. So like, no, the armor's here, not here. So it's gotta. I mean, I'd have gloves on. You're talking, it would be the middle of summer. I'd have heat. There's one time and Mom will tell you about this one. I was basically pretending I was a Marine from Halo 1 because they had the little eyeglass like things.
Yeah.
I had my flip phone, my very first phone. I set it on record and taped it inside the helmet where the eyeglass would be. So I would have the eyeglass. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a baseball helmet that I also took cardboard and duct tape to shape like the Master Chief's helmet. So I had the little flashlight, square things right here. The bill was there, and it was a baseball helmet that had a metal guard on the front that I also wrapped the mouthpiece, you know, and so it would fit around it. I still got it. I'll have to bring it out.
Oh man, yeah, that would be cool.
And anyway, just some childhood nostalgia. Anyway, point is, big Halo fan, and that's where my story falls. So I had grown a big attachment and love for Bungie and what they had done with Halo, and because I always liked the idea of how realistic Halo seemed for if an alien invasion happened, and also because what I noticed with a lot of when people do futuristic looking art styles and whatnot for your movies and games and probably comics too, I don't know. But anyway, forms of media, the futuristic stuff looks too sometimes a bit unrealistic of what may actually be. Like they lose grit and usually go for shiny and poofy. If you've ever noticed that, like everything's shiny and poofy. Kind of like, I mean, if you look at modern day Destiny, look at all their armors and such. Not the most realistic, you would say. Not very gritty. It's usually shiny, and especially when people customize themselves, it's always the giant shoulder pads and the weird whacked out gauntlets and pants and whatever have you. But
NFL Blitz!
yeah.
Does that date me? Sure does!
Do you want to look like an NFL star in space? We've got you! Destiny 2!
Destiny 2.
But literally, anyway, that's what I noticed with a lot of futuristic stuff. They just, it looked like the Michelin Man had space armor. But Halo didn't do that. Halo had a more realistic look and feel to it. Master Chief's armor made sense. I mean, I love, for Pete's sakes, how his belt armor and his chest armor actually have a little separation space so he can move his waist around. You know, it literally, like, just little details like that, my kid brain was like, you know, the guns didn't look too wacky or crazy. They still, you know, felt and looked realistic in a sense, except maybe the assault rifle, because there's not really sights you can use with that one. But I've
always wondered about that.
Yeah, I'll give it a pass though. But anyway, I'm continuing on that tangent. Big love for Halo, and then Halo 4 came along. The big art style change to Halo that happened when Halo 4 came. I didn't like Chief's armor just from the trailers and whatnot, and especially when they present it in the game, it makes absolutely no sense how he has that armor that is also up to date and up to code with modern UNSC stuff, even though they've been stranded light years away in space.
Right?
I mean, if you literally look at the skin, the rubber under part of the suit, it is the same.
The Under Armour?
The Under Armour.
Alright.
Today's sponsor.
Today's sponsor.
But no, like, if you look at it, it's the same one as the other Spartan 4s you see in the game, except the Spartan 4s have color on some of their black suits. So, and how Cortana can change rubber and how it looked from the original Mark 6, 3. Anyway, so it's all started with Halo 4. I'm using way too many details, so I'm going to cut it short. visually, gameplay-wise, how the story felt, how the music felt, how Master Chief and Cortana acted, everything about Halo 4 destroyed my concept of what Halo was, what Bungie had built all those years. Right. And so that's what started my journey into looking into like the development and how companies handle that stuff. That's where it began, because it shattered, like, because gaming seemed like it was on the rise. Halo Reach was like the best send-off Bungie could have given, and then Black Ops 2 just showed up, knocking out the park. But well, they showed up around the time Halo 4 did, actually. And so, but with that, that's when I started looking in onto the developers and paying closer attention, because I was like, I don't like what I'm seeing here. Then Destiny was going to come along, so I was like, okay, I'm going to abandon this new Halo and go with Destiny, because Bungie's working on it. It's Bungie. Bungie is great. They've always done great stuff for us, the people in it. Well, come to find out, Destiny comes along, it's not too great at launch. Game is very incomplete, and it is not what was promised in the trailers. And once again, I'm disappointed. I'm like, Bungie, why? Bungie, what are you doing? Like, what happened? And
I guess we could say that Bungie was stretched too thin.
Oh gosh, I just got that. Yeah, stretched way too thin. In fact, stretched so thin, in fact, Bungie was basically replaced by Activision. From all the stuff I've seen, a lot of classic Bungie employees left. I'm assuming due to the conditions between signing on with Activision. So anyway, this is where
common trend.
Right. Yes. I started looking into those details and such. I'm like, how could Bungie do this? I mean, they had everything to make Destiny something great, and I could, forget whatever 343's doing with Halo, and so to see Bungie fall, I mean, it started worrying me about what was going on with the gaming sphere. And so, like I said, looked into the details, looked into the development behind stuff, and I found out there was a lot of corruption behind it. The story had changed multiple different times, builds of the entire game. It was not what original Bungie was intended to deliver, and basically Activision pushed old Bungie out, kept the name of Bungie, but put their own people in it, you could say.
Gotcha.
And so, and then from there, that's when I started paying more attention into what I was playing, and I started seeing that a lot of the games coming out weren't really impressing me the way they were. Like, I basically went through an emotional, like, recession, you could call it.
No, I totally understand that.
Yeah,
that's what happened to me.
Yeah. Okay, so then you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Because like everything I was playing, it was like nothing was good anymore. And I was like, is this just me? Is it because something changed? Am I at fault here? And then, but I looked at the classic stuff I used to play, and it was, when I'd hop back on, the feelings I had were still relatively the same. Yeah, a little different because I'm older, but like, they were still fun. And so then I started like seeing stuff like Angry Joe's like reviews, and then later came the Act Man, what people, their own thoughts and how they would pick apart types of media, and just like people do with movies all the time, they review them and say what's good about the story, what's not, visuals, timing, music, and so I basically just started branching out different, I guess, resources of where I would intake my information, and that's when I started seeing the information also matching up with the way the game industry has gone. And if you look today, they were right, and it's continued to go in a downhill spiral, mostly due to corporate stuff.
Yes. Well, there is some hope that with enough feedback, things will change. Mm-hmm. If I do remember a story about Battlefront 2, the modern one, the Star Wars game. That I don't remember what the exact the context was, but I know that EA got a lot of flack for that, and whatever the fans are complaining about, they changed it or something.
Yeah, I think it may have had to do with the loot boxes and the heroes you could play.
Yeah, the
I think
characters.
that might have been. It was something along.
It's like you had to unlock Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
With through either microtransactions or playing an excessively long amount of time, and I think the developers were saying something along the lines of like we don't know why anyone would play these characters, and then incorporating Luke into that. It's like, well, because he's that's what Star Wars is built around.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, and to add on to that, I think one of the things was, now don't quote me on this completely because this could be wrong, and I think it is wrong in some ways, but it was along the lines of I think, now I know something had to do with Darth Vader, but I was pay $20 to be Darth Vader, or play the game for 500 and something hours and accomplish this one thing for when they'll be do get 500 headshots or something. I'm not saying that's what they use, but it was some sort of do something for 500 something hours. Yeah. Well, it didn't even say that on screen. Someone had to math it out how many hours it would take to naturally unlock him.
Right.
To get in-game cosmetics and all that stuff without paying anything.
Exactly. And some of the things that you were saying actually, because I was talking about Fallout 76 and talking about how you felt when Bungie and 343 did what they did. Mm-hmm. But talking about some of the other content related stuff, the thing about Fallout 76 is it's not just that it had microtransactions, even though it was a fully priced AAA game, plus microtransactions, which themselves were very overpriced, and probably still are. The other thing is that the game was released in such a broken state on release day. And there's been quite a bit of coverage on that. I have seen some other content creators cover what does it look like now. It's overall a better experience. It's not glitchy or buggy as far as I know. But it's the fact that the game was released like that. Cyberpunk 2077, similar story, alright? That was it, Anthem, that EA released, a similar story. It's become, the gaming trend is a state of, well, we have the internet, and so we can just release a game in whatever state it's in, and then we can just patch it along the way. And because it's name brand recognition, it's not a new idea or new IP, we're going to be making money from it regardless. It's the safe path. I'm curious to know, because I don't think that the developers themselves, I don't think it's a lack of talent. In fact, I think there's more talent than there ever has been on this earth. So I don't think that it's that. I think that it's a visionary focus going from the top down, and certain ideas are being presented but are not being heard. Certain criticisms are maybe being presented and just not heard because it's not the objective of the owners.
Right. No, and that's what I would agree too, because I know there's passionate people out there, because if you look, even these broken games that come out today, they're usually beautiful.
Yes, they are.
The graphics are more high quality. The
sound as well.
Sound and the art, even in designing them, looks great. But it's that's the box they have to check, and then they ship the game. And so, but Preston was saying, or Mr. Phoenix, if you prefer.
Either's fine. I've went through so many name changes on this channel. I'm also called myself Preston, so who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? It'll change next week.
Probably. You'll be doing this video and being like, it's wee little Phoenix was suffering through this, and you change your name to Ice Cube or something. And anyway, but what was going on? Oh yeah, from the top down, it seems to be a corporate issue. I mean, if you've looked at the state of Halo Infinite, and of course me being the Halo fan I know about what's going on with Halo Infinite, which I also am, as cringy as it sounds, boycotting for the same reason the Act Man is boycotting it, and it's because they made a 5-year promise to deliver split screen to Halo that people will literally break the game to do, but 343 won't add.
Huh.
Yeah, they promised every Halo title going forward will have split screen in it, and they
I do remember hearing that.
Yeah, promised it, and did not put that in there. And so, which the game's still incomplete as is. Infection, the game mode itself, I don't know if it has been added yet. I know it's going to be part of an update. But either way, the fact that it's like a year and approaching 2 years later, and we're just getting that, when we had...
Probably because they're infected. Infected.
They infected from the top, dude. Like, they have a great... I swear...
It's a great
They got a
mind.
great mind at the head of Microsoft. Which I think that's who is to blame, because I don't think it's necessarily 343 to blame. I think it literally is whoever is handling the top corporate stuff, which is probably Microsoft in this case. And... which Microsoft does have control of who is in charge of creating Halo and all that stuff. Anyway, yeah, they are in charge of that, and they haven't changed things up to properly make the game function well and have all the features it's supposed to have. Here, almost 2 years later.
You know, and I think that this, I think there's an interesting concept that we should consider here. Is there's also a psychology to all this. Mm-hmm. Being a hardcore Bethesda fan like I am, which is really weird to say, nonetheless, where you spend your time is what you love doing, right? So, studying Bethesda's history and Todd Howard's history as well, because there's once upon a time I wanted to make like a biography of Todd Howard.
Yeah.
just because I wanted to see where the thought process and the vision came from that made the games that were both so great and so buggy. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, at least for Bethesda, the bugginess of their games has always been with them because they've had this mentality of, oh, it's good enough, let's ship it out. Mm-hmm. Because once upon a time, they had to be that way to survive into the 2000s, to survive until Morrowind, and then to survive through Oblivion. But, so they would say, okay, here's a feature, all right, sure, let's put it in. All right, it's working, it's good enough, move on to the next one. All right, here's another feature. Okay, well, it's functional. Okay, move on to the next one because we gotta go. We need to put this out so our company doesn't go under. This was the story that the Bethesda, Todd Howard Bethesda was up until Morrowind because they had two major failures with the Elder Scrolls Spring-offs. And I'm not sure how much money Daggerfall exactly made them. But they kept trying to put money into these other projects, and even as Todd Howard himself has said that they were all working on other personal projects, which he mentions a Ninth Planet game, which to me is Starfield. He mentions there was these other projects, and that they eventually got down to a team of 6, and that they really had to say, okay, we just need to focus on one game, and let's just do that and get it done. So that is what Morrowind is, and that game is legendary. But with that game's success, all right, now let's make Oblivion. But Oblivion's buggy. Mm-hmm. And then, now we've acquired the Fallout franchise. Let's make Fallout 3. Fallout 3 is so buggy, and for a while required you to have a Windows Live subscription or ownership, membership, in order to even play the game on PC.
What?
Yes. And they removed that 2 years ago. It took them
these years later
over a decade to remove this insane feature.
There's probably mods to straight up get around that feature, and then they finally fix it themselves.
And speaking of bugs, that was literally the motto. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And that actually was a motto from Julian LaFay before Todd Howard came on the scene. So the concept of just accepting things as they were and then pushing it, moving on, it's a corporate culture. And it permeated through the games, and it continues to permeate through this day. So it's not just a Todd Howard thing, it's a Bethesda thing. And I'm kind of wondering if, with Electronic Arts and Bungie, 343, and Microsoft and the rest of them, and Blizzard,
gosh.
I'm kind of wondering if there is a certain mentality that kind of persists and causes these top-down behaviors to transmit through the developers onto the screen.
Right. Well, and to be honest, like the more I think about it, and I think it's actually been going on longer than perhaps we may realize, because it is in our products that we get at stores. It is in our the media and movies that we're like currently consuming. Because I mean, like for example, they still sell. These were my favorite chips growing up. They were pickle chips. The pickle chips. I would eat them to the point my tongue was raw and there was some oil in my stomach and that I could feel. The bag is more than half empty now and has like a quarter of the taste it used to.
Say, do you know why?
Do I know why?
Do you know why the bags are emptier?
So they can make
presentation.
Oh, you talking about why they fill it with air?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It looks full.
So it looks full.
But literally, I will go to the store and I will grab them, and because I know they're just doing presentation, I will feel exactly where it is. And like, here's the bag, right? Here's the chips. You know, it's ridiculous. I'm like, you took something so beautiful. You had the golden egg and you killed it. You strangled its neck. You know.
They were yolking it.
They yoked it to death, dude.
You're blowing up!
Wait, okay, so never mind. I was gonna say something about well, technically when you yolk an egg,
you can,
but
remove the yolk.
But it's corporate greed, so they can yolk whatever. So they yoked that golden goose's neck.
The eggheads.
The stupid eggheads. They ruined my chips. My quality of blistered tongue bleeding has been eliminated.
And he has a chip on his shoulder too.
And
not right now though, not physically.
No, I wish it was pickle chips from 2006.
Exactly.
On my shoulder, but instead we're stuck with the pickle chips that are barely there in the bag in the first place.
It's quite the pickle we're in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's quite the pickle.
Those people are being lazy.
Okay.
Speaking of sponsors, today we're sponsored by Lay's Chips. No.
We're sponsored by Grammarly. Want to put a ton of terrible puns inside of your document to get hired on at Microsoft?
Orifices.
We got you.
What?
If you put that in and you get hired, you literally just write like you're like, dear Microsoft, consider hiring me. Here's my profession, my experience in the past, orifices. Signed, Presley. Just by yourself.
Hey, you know, I tell you what, if it captures the employer's eye,
yeah,
that's like most of the work right there. But anyways, looking forward to the future.
Where's gaming going?
Where is gaming going?
Future gaming.
Future gaming. So I know that you don't know much about Starfield and everything.
Correct, I do not.
I'm cautiously optimistic that it will actually be pretty decent, just because of how much I know of Todd Howard and his Ninth Planet thing. And now I personally think that there is a connection between that, and that those ideas have been stirring around in his head. But let me caution you on this, my friends. Don't go to opening nights. Excuse me. If you want to go opening night gaming to a launch, that's fine. Don't pre-order things.
No.
Because it makes no sense in our digital age for you to pre-order a product. And let's not forget the awkward time period where when you went to get a hard copy of a game, all you had was a cardboard disc that gave you a Steam account number.
That was actually a thing.
That was it. Well, it happened with EA's Origin and the Command & Conquer collection, the 17 game collection. I bought the plastic card box, opened the box, and it's a cardboard disc saying you can redeem this on Origin.com. I wanted a DVD copy of the games, because the previous Command & Conquer collection, which was from Command & Conquer Generals backwards, had not only a DVD copy of all the games up until that point, but it also had a DVD making of. So it was like a decent collector's addiction. It was an addiction and an addition. And it came with, and I really miss these, a gaming manual that had the units in it and talked about the different games and that.
Oh
and
my
gosh.
I
miss that. You know, that was my toilet read right there, you know?
Literally.
I miss those though so much. But anyways, don't pre-order things because you're gonna get it if you order it later, and you're gonna save money anyways if you wait until Black Friday or something like that.
Right.
Which followed by Cyber Monday. So, in order to change gaming industry to the way that we want, the thing that is going to change them the most is putting it where the wallet is. All right, your wallet is your mouthpiece, and that is what's going to tell these corporations what the new era of gaming is going to look like. Make your money count.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. Because that's what they're going to follow, as we've seen with how corporate people do. If you don't believe us, take a look at how many games have battle passes and in order to buy skins, or if you want to get the good part of the battle pass, not the free pleb version. Oh, you want the premium? You gotta buy it.
Buzzword.
Yes, and then spend hours upon hours trying to rank up through a battle pass that is just a grueling grind, by the way. That's also another thing games have turned to, is just grinds now, and I hate it because it makes me not want to play.
Grinds, I guess they lurk in the Atkins diet, but I'm just gonna leave it like that, leave it as is.
You have to with yourself.
I'm always happy with myself.
Okay.
And I'll just let that one lie where it is too.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't suggest anything. But no, I mean, like everything's turned into just like a watered down dribble. But there's your few little lights in the dark, and that's why I would say put your money there.
Exactly.
Doom Eternal. I will sing praises to Doom Eternal because the developers did such a good job making a fun game and a complete game off launch. Yes, it was just pretty much a single player with just a little bit of multiplayer. I would say what they do need to add back is Snap Map, because that's basically Halo's Forge, and if you give that to the Doom community, and if you've seen what they've done on the Doom 2016, oh my gosh, bring it back and expand it in Doom Eternal, because they have battle mode, but battle mode's not really, I don't think anyone's like huge on battle mode. It's a neat concept that should be expanded on, but in its base version needs a lot of help. But in the meantime, why not have Snap Map where people can put their own demons and build their own maps, and you literally, the community increases the longevity and time that they're on your game, and also expands the community for it, because it's basically self-promotion. Just like with Skyrim, you got so many people playing Skyrim nowadays because the community mods the ever-living crap out of it, thus for extending its life, thus for more people putting it out on YouTube, on Twitch, continuing to put the brand out there. And when you got 14 different versions of Skyrim, you're guaranteed to get it on at least one of your platforms, whatever you play on. But anyway, to go back to what Doom did, they released a complete game. They had their own version of a battle pass that you didn't have to pay for. You just had to play the game and complete certain challenges, and basically just each month or each couple of months, they would just have new skins and stuff that now cycle around the year, so you can still get those skins if you missed out, by the way.
Wow. So
just quality features like that. And so when they added the 2 DLCs that were called, I said that really weird, DLCs that were the Ancient Gods Part 1 and Part 2, I bought both of them gladly because I've enjoyed the game that they made for me. And because of that, I'm going to promote them. Because of that, I want their game to expand, and I'm looking forward to the next entry, which hopefully doesn't get corrupted and have a huge downfall like everything has lately. Hopefully they're still able to manage on their own to where they're not having to be affected by corporate stuff.
Yeah, and you know, I think that brings up an interesting question that maybe we can part with is, Chief, what do you think that monetization should look like going forward? Because at the $60 price point, I kind of feel like, you know, like you were saying, there is a way for companies to still make money and keep up with the times, but still make it affordable and a complete experience for someone who's just buying it out of the box.
Correct.
The digital box, I guess. So,
yeah.
What do you think that the I guess the Doom experience should be perpetuated across the board, or you maybe have some other ideas on how that would work? Yes,
I would say absolutely. People take more inspiration. Like other companies take inspiration from that, because one thing that corporate doesn't look at is a lot of times is their community. That's what I loved about Bungie, is they cared about their community. They had file share. They would have Bungie's favorite thing of the week, which is usually someone else's. You know, it was the community stuff. And you could be gifted. I think in Halo 3 the big thing was if you got a recon helmet, that means a actual Bungie employee saw something you did, really liked it, and gifted it to you.
Wow.
And it would stuff like that. When you involve the community, you got people talking about your company and your brand for years on end for free. It's free advertising, basically. If you're looking at it from the corporate perspective, from the moral perspective, it makes you a great person, because not only have you provided a product that the people enjoy, you took the time to make it right and everything, but because you're in their good graces, they send that back to you, and they're willing to give you their money without getting mad. You can launch IPs and stuff simply by your reputation. While these other companies, unless you get a formula like Call of Duty where they can shill out another one every year and it works, eventually these brands will die off and the money flow will quit. And also your name will be thrown in the garbage. While with Doom's approach, you could add more monetization than they did. They were honestly they took away some monetization from themselves that they could have added, and people still would have bought.
Yeah.
There was still some stuff there, but like I said, the battle pass was free and everything, and skins. You could have had it where people paid for that.
Yeah.
But the game was good enough where people would be willing to do that.
Yeah.
And so I don't have, I guess, the best words to say to exactly how to approach monetization coming forward. But I think looking at how Doom Eternal handled it, keeping a focus on making your fans happy. Because if you make your fans happy and enjoy what you make, look at Overwatch for Pete's sakes. People still buy skins to this day. You made something people love. You made stories and ideas and gameplay that was so tantalizing and I think is the right word. Just fun to have, fun to be a part of. That people will give you their money.
Yeah.
If money's the main goal, man, make people happy, because it has a good all around effect.
So I think that was well said, and I think to put my own input on that very question is, I think community events can also be good at raising alternate funds. And if I understand correctly, this is what Relogic does. Their game Terraria has had DLC level upgrades to their game, and they've never charged a single dime, or Bethesda buck, whatever, for it.
$20 for blue.
Exactly.
20 for blue. 20 for blue.
So their game is still, I think at most is ever $50. I think it's $15.99. But that's really cheap for a game that's been out for, was it 10, 12 years now? 13 years now Terraria is old?
Really? Is it that old?
It's like, it came out before Minecraft did.
Are you serious?
Minecraft is not, they came out around the same time, but Terraria was like a couple months older.
Wow.
Yeah. Minecraft's a similar state. Their model is a little different because they have like Minecraft themed games that are their own thing, like Minecraft Legends it's its own concept, but it's just using the Minecraft brand.
Yeah.
And so they have their own way of monetizing. But even their core game is only $30. Terraria's is like less than half of that. But I think that a lot of money can be made through community events. I'm not too aware of how that works because I guess I'm really old-fashioned. I'm very passionate about single-player experiences or, you know, close friends. You know, sharing with your close friends like split screen or just, you know, me, I like to play with people I know. I don't like really playing with strangers. But that's just me. But I think that a community-themed event where there's like perks and stuff that can be, you know, you pay to go to the event physically or to attend online or whatever. You know, so there's at least a baseline model of how much the company's getting compensated for their time and their effort, and then maybe some promo stuff along the way. I think those fundraising events could be another alternate good way of raising money for your company.
Oh yeah. And absolutely, and people will show up to that stuff. You set it up right, and I can tell you this because Minecraft has a thing where depending on what like Minecon you go to, I may have some of these details incorrect, but you will get literally for going, you'll get like a code or something to get yourself your own little cape to put on your Minecraft avatar, and people go so crazy over these capes. It is in the black market. People are trying to steal your data to get the capes. I'm not even joking.
I believe it.
Like I saw some stuff on. I mean, who knows? It was a YouTube video I saw, but the evidence and stuff he showed seemed pretty convincing, you know. And so,
and then another thing too is work with your community's content creators. Not only do you get the advertisement, like Chief mentioned, but you probably could work out deals with them that if they create their own like merch using your brand, that you could exchange like a percentage deal with them.
Absolutely.
You know, something like that. Use your content creators because especially those influencers with like millions of subscribers like on YouTube, you know, like my kids like to watch these Minecraft people. They do like their own like little skits. Like Afmal, for example, making videos every day, professional quality production, and they have merch and they have a massive influence that they can further allow you to be compensated for your IP.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. Get that community. That's why nobody goes for, and I don't mean to extend this, but...
but we're going to anyway!
Well, we're gonna do it! DLC!
DLC! Which brings us to our next sponsor. I don't know.
Oh. No, we're out of sponsors.
I was gonna do a bit where we talk about in order to watch the rest of this, you have to pay us I wanted to go off into that, but then my mind just drew a blank.
Get yourself the instead of the battle pass, the media pass.
The media pass.
If you have the premium stuff, the rest of this video will be allowed to you. But if you haven't paid, sorry, this is where it ends.
Oh man. All right. Well, anyways. I think we've covered quite a lot of ground with modern gaming. We really enjoyed doing this. Hopefully we can, do more videos like this in the future. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk with Chief, and I'll arrange to pick him up from wherever he lives nowadays, and
wherever Todd sends me.
But of course, wherever.
Yeah, I'm basically...
WWTD, what would Todd do? WWTS, what would Todd say?
That is something I think about every morning.
And remember to watch my Todd Talks video, which has like 5 views on it.
Todd Talks?
Yes, I'll show it to you later.
Okay, bet.
Alright, anyways, I've been your host, Phoenix. This has been Chief, and I'll catch you folks on the flip side. Bye!
Bye!